Right. Have you thought that an artist could be, a favorite artist could be someone serious? Or maybe not so masculine? Imagine a woman artist. Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to play a game. Let's play a game of radical imagination. Let's imagine a woman artist who is so famous and she doesn't even have mental issues. Oh, this is quite nice. Then I have to look like this to show off my bun. Okay. Is that it? That's what it's gonna be. Sometimes the girl just wanna look cute, and when it ain't cute, it ain't it. Okay, that's gonna be it because so it all started off when I was very little, and obviously I remember in the class one time the teacher asked us, "Oh, which gender would you prefer to be if you could, or is your gender better or something?" Maybe the teacher didn't ask us. Maybe we just came up with it ourselves. And the boys started screaming, "I was better to be the boy," and the girls obviously screamed, "It's better to be the girl." To this day, I think it's better to be the girl, by the way. But never mind that. The world obviously has also different opinions and all of that. And I think that collectively, women, we kind of feel that pain. Because obviously we know it's better to be a woman, but somehow the world doesn't always value us. And I noticed it, and I know a lot of women noticed it. And that's how feminism was born. So grateful for that, right? And yeah, obviously we're in this new era of feminism. Maybe it's something that people will observe decades later on, and maybe they will write research on how feminism, how did the feminism affect this generation, and how how we all have changed as a society. If we look 100 years back, it was very different to what it is now, and I think that in a lot of ways there's a lot of positives that have happened, as negatives as well, as always, as there's always is some, there has to be a balance of everything. But yeah, so the reason why I'm telling you this story is because it was the first time when I thought of myself as this identity, as this, one or the other, and I think some, like, for example, The Other Sex, the famous book, but in societies we tend to somehow put the higher value on one thing and lesser value on the other things. I'm sure there's a lot of research on that, why that happens and all that. I think the most important thing as a woman is to really understand some bigger picture, like a bigger picture, and don't think of yourself just as an individual. It's very important, because the thing is that you see, ideas, they live on as long as we live on, and ideas will die out when what we have to say is either not said or if we actually die. So it's very important to say what you have to say. Another very important aspect, I think, is realization that no one will fight for you but yourself. No one will go and pick you up, unless obviously there is some reason behind why they want that. But it's very important to know kind of your where you sit, and understand that the people are not stupid, men are not stupid, and people do enjoy the privileges of, the certain privileges that they have. I can assure you that this video is about women artists, and actually, just like any woman, a beautiful woman, an ugly woman, an average woman, whatever woman, just existing for women is already political. What we wear is very political. How we choose to appear, what we choose to wear, how we choose to present ourselves, what we say is all very, very political. We can do anything, and it will be, and people will talk. That's okay. That's not a bad thing, I think. But it is something that's, I think, worthwhile to understand that that's exactly that's the reality. I think when we compare men in this theme, we sometimes think that I heard this from somewhere else, that because men cannot reproduce, they cannot like have a child in them, there's this inherent lack of worth throughout their lives, and they always want to compensate that by, by being great, by being the greatest, by being the most awesome, by being the richest, the most whatever. And I'm not saying this as an attack, I'm saying this as an observation. There's nothing maybe wrong with that. Maybe it's just the way they are. And what I did notice is that when I was in art school, this idea in my head always creeps in. I looked at artists, and I realized how little women artists there were compared to male artists. And the other thing that kept bothering me was the prices of women artworks. Why were they why would they like have such a significant difference in pricing? Because I wonder if there was like, let's say, if we put a, you know, a mask on the face, like you have to like check the pants to see how much the artwork is worth. Like how does it work? I just never really understood it because yeah, it's just something to think about. There's no logical reason why. I think with feminism and misogyny and all the other stuff, I think it can be painful to women in many ways because we just want to live, like we just want to exist, we just want to live our lives, we just want to do what we want to do, and we want to be appreciated for what we do. I just learned myself, and it took me years to learn that women do have something in them that is indescribable, and it's not about reproduction. Of course, it's what I think. If you look at the society and we look at the maybe majority or the bigger percentage of society, I think let's forget about that society. Let's maybe take let's say maybe 20-30% of society, yeah, and let's think just about this other society. What does this society think? Because I think majority of society will follow. But what's important is what the 20-30% of society thinks. So, why do we not value women's artwork at a higher value than men's? What would be wrong with that? Would it be so bad? Would it be so bad for our economy? Would it be what would be the worst thing that could happen if we just picked a woman artist and just made her have the artwork that was sold for the highest price? I don't know. It would be just interesting to see what would happen. I'm a core believer that the future is women. I believe that the woman is the future, and to me it's so apparent, to me it's so normal that I just do not. Sometimes I just don't understand the current matrix, the current world. It's mind-boggling to me. Obviously, different people are in different situations because of the world, and obviously we cannot. Sometimes life is a bit more difficult, and some people are more privileged than the others. Annoys me is that I remember when I was like growing up, I've learned that there are some concepts, there are some rules, there are some things that when women do, it just gives me an ache, or I feel like there's certain constraints for women, there's certain things women shouldn't do. And later on I found out that it was actually nothing else but a good old misogyny. And it took me a lot of years, maybe decades, maybe a bit more than a decade, to unlearn all of that. And I didn't learn all of that by my own experience, by living my life. The beautiful thing about us humans is that we will live our lives, and we cannot live for somebody else, we can only live for ourselves. So sometimes to really understand something will take a year, not a year, it will take a life to live, and maybe then we will understand something. Or maybe we will live on and we will never understand something. Maybe some people just never clicks. So this story with this girl is a story of that little girl that didn't understand why was it that her body or her genitals were the predicament of her value. How does that work? I believe that we can believe whatever we want to believe, and I already believe what I want to believe. But I think what's facts is something tangible, and money is very tangible. And when you look at the artwork prices and you see not just that big of a difference, but you see something like like a huge difference in prices when it comes to artwork, you realize that something is wrong with people. Something is like really, really wrong with people. Yeah. So I guess the narrative of what I want to say is, on one hand, we have this gender of men that want to get something from women, because women, they have an inherent value. We can see that all of the paintings are of naked women in museums. A lot of paintings are of naked women because men are not taught. They see that women are gorgeous. That's why sex always sells, because no matter the economical state, the nature will always win. So women always having inherent higher value, and men seeing it and taking it. Why do they appear to be here in prices when women's created value is here? Why does it, when women create something, let's say sexual, let's say intimate, let's say I don't know, let's say she paints a naked woman, why does it make us feel a certain way? Why is it when we see a pretty woman painting or an ugly woman painting, we have that underlying feeling? It's like we feel it in ourselves. We question that. We are unfamiliar with it. We're or the other thing that was when I was a teenager, or even not when I was a teenager, when I was a young adult. I'm still young, but a few years later, before, I was thinking, why do women paint things that are so predictable? Why do they paint, not paint, but like, why do they do stuff like cute stuff or you know, beautiful stuff, maybe like flowers or children, which is not true, of course, because I'm pretty sure you can think of many other examples, like this woman that makes spider sculptures. So it's not true, but these examples are, there's less of these examples. Why is it that when we look at the male artist, what differentiates them from women artists? What is there some sort of concept differences? Is there some differences in the concepts? Are male concepts better than women's concepts? Do women lose interest in art because they realize it's just a bunch of crap? And women that do stay creating, they just, maybe they have lost touch with reality and they just maybe they went insane. I don't know, but I oftentimes think about this artist, Camille. I don't know how to pronounce her name because she's also French. She was the lover of Auguste Rodin. Yeah, and I remember very well how when I was reading it, I felt something in me that was so, that touched something in me, and that something was her pain. She had so much pain in her, and it affects me personally. Her pain literally is so real to me that I know that many artists, many women artists will go through similar experience like her. We might have to go through a route where our mental strength is weakening, and no matter how talented we are as women, if our mental health is not strong, we will never be able to at least live longer to see our success. I think for a woman artist, one of the most important things we can do ourselves is take care of our mental health. And that goes to me as well, because mental health affects a lot of people, including me. And if we really want to fight this fight, if we really believe in it, we have to take care of ourselves first and foremost. Yeah, maybe the right way to say is that a lot of Western women have built us the base that we can now work on top, and we can make something for the future women, you know? The reason why I find it so important to do that is because it can be unnecessarily painful to live life among idiots and to just mold yourself into something that just because the idiots believe in it does not mean that, you know, you have to do that stuff. It maybe means that you need to step out of it and just observe what the society is, what it's like, and why it is the way it is. I don't think that all the women need to study feminism and the history of it and everything, because I think that most women just want to live. They're tired of this bullshit. A lot of my friends, they don't care. They live freely enough, and that's the privilege that they have, and that's great, and that's very awesome, that they have the privilege to do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it, whenever they want to do it, and they use that privilege in whatever the shape or way they want. That's great. We're not also here to change the minds of the idiots, because we all know the story that, you know, we let that idiot go where they want to go, and like the Lithuanian says, "Duok kvailiui kelią." So yeah, we're gonna do exactly that. I think it's also very important for women to preserve their energy and don't spend it on time wasters. I see that a lot in my generation, where women like fight so much, and although I do think it's sometimes fun to fight for like no reason, if you don't put your heart into it, if you do it like cold-heartedly, just for the fun of it, sure, it's fine. But I don't think you should ever fight with idiots, and even spare a tear for it. Now, what's my motivator here? What's my drive? What's the core thing that really fucking pushes me? What is it? It's this idea of you know that book called Why There's No Great Female Artists? So I've never read the book, but the name is really awesome. And I do wonder what's in that book. So maybe if you do know what's in that book, maybe you can let me know. I'm sure it's great. But yeah, the core issue that keeps me motivated is the idea that an average man will have achieved something greater than a great woman. Why that is? Why is that? Like, why do we put on pedestal these men? Why? Why do we put these men that hurt us as women? Men that hurt young women, men that hurt girls. Why do we put on pedestal old men that hurt 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds? Why do we do that? I believe that society is just an abstract is just an abstract thing that we say. Really, society is just a bunch of individuals. So if we dissect a society, what is in a society? It's a bunch of individuals. Maybe there's society with, like, maybe the majority of it is a bunch of people that will follow. They will not really think, but they will follow. Let's say it's 60%. I don't know what the percentage actually is, but let's say majority, 60%, and then let's say 40% is people that maybe craft their ideas, or maybe they think. And I think maybe I'm just being generous here with these percentages. I think percentage could be maybe 5% or something, but it doesn't matter. Let's say the smaller percentage of the society, if we look at it, if we, let's say all of these people are here in, very much like physically, if we look at them individually, if we see them, society is just what we all individuals think. So when we say society, it's just a way to say what, let's say 2 billion people think, or 1 billion people think. How do we affect 1 billion, what a 1 billion people thinks? How do we do that? The problem is that we fight with the idiots. We fight with the 60%. And I think the 60%, they're going to change. They're going to be forced to evolve. Or even if they don't evolve, they have their right to be wrong, So let's forget about that. Let's focus on the people that think, they question, they change their minds, they're open, right? What's important is to not only create a narrative that works right now, it's also very important to create something that will work for the future. Because humans are very fragile beings. We are only here for that long. We're only here for a very short time. So what I think might be important, but if I don't share it, if I don't tell you that, what's the use of it? So what? So what if I have lived all of those struggles? So what if I have experienced all of those things? So what if I grew up the way I did? So what if I experienced that inequality? Or so what if you have experienced all of that pain? If you cannot share that, if you cannot create something out of it, it happened for nothing. I think personally that religion has done a lot of harm for women. Religion has done so much harm that we cannot even see that. We almost gaslighted ourselves into believing whatever we believe. I personally think that the witches, the anarchists, the evil woman, the lazy woman, that kind of woman is right. Maybe that's a witch woman. Maybe that's how we can sort of put this concept of a free woman and put it into that label that is so hated by society. It's so evil. But that's what my 26 years of experience on this earth has brought me to. And I am not here to tell how women should live or how men need to behave or whatever, because I think there's so much information of that online, and at the end of the day it's not my business how people live their lives. But what is my business is the prices of Sotheby's and why they are so significantly out of ratio. What's the motivator here? Because that is the end result of all of the bullshit that society and just like the whole world has created a narrative of, right? The end result, the prices of the artworks, that is going to be the last thing of this whole, of all of these steps that, we go through as society. Lastly, what is Moldansky about? So Moldansky is a pseudonym of an artist who believes in witches. She believes in women. She believes in feminism. She believes in connectedness to nature. She believes in being wrong. She believes in being playful. She believes in fucking around. She also believes in consistency and ambition and dedication. So maybe that's her purpose. Maybe that is her purpose. But yeah, everything starts off with a person saying something so outrageous, so audacious that it triggers people. I'm not sure if anything I said here would trigger anyone, because I think what I said was facts. But we are gonna try to radically imagine something. It's a concept that I have learned from an amazing activist, Celine from Slow Factory. She's an amazing woman, and I suggest you follow her. And in the workshop, we've learned to radically imagine whatever we want to imagine. So I imagine a society where the genders have lost any value at all. It does not mean anything. It's absolutely neutral, because it really is. And it's not because we just one day stopped and we just stopped assuming things, we just stopped thinking through stereotypes. is because we looked around ourselves and we started seeing things, and we realized that we were wrong. We realized that that's what we used to believe then, and now we look around ourselves and we see examples. We see this example, this example, this example, this example. We see that we were wrong, and that's okay. And we can change. Because if we never changed, we would be sitting with rocks right now, just like in Stone Age. We would be cooking food by the fire pit, and we would be eating mammoths. But we're not. You know why? Because we have changed, we have evolved. So many things that have changed, and this will also change. Because it's not possible any other way around. Women are just awesome to be not have their artwork sold for record-breaking prices. Women are too great to be ignored. Women's power is too strong. Women nowadays choose not to have kids. Where do you think all of that energy is going to go to? All of that energy is going to go to ourselves. Because internet, however toxic internet might be, internet is also a way where it's a place where we can connect to others through words, through ideas. And I believe that this video will definitely reach the right audience that needs to hear this. So yeah, I hope that it has touched something, and yeah, very excited to share this video.